I told you I joined the army because of all the goodies. The best one was actually furthering my education. I intended to go to the military to further my education. I never did. So that gave me one goal in life. If ever I have the chance, I will not let anybody else go the way I did. Because, you see, we used to take the cream to the military. People who would have done well elsewhere. But then they went there and got, you see, the military is got two levels. There is the officer corps and there is the other ranks. Other ranks has always been African. The officer corps was always European. This is where I went and got European salary initially. Eventually, when Uhuru came, we were all level, eh? But it was not until after about 2-3 years of Uhuru that the thing caught up with us. But so when I went to the army, I found that education was not valued. I was good in science, but nobody cared whether what is that? Put it in the kit pack na wacha huku wakadu. Nataka saa strong fellows, people, and I was not strong. I mean, I barely managed in height and weight to join the army. Kama haikuwa mzungu sema, huyu ataweka ratili na yungine, I would have been thrown out. But I was the only African then, because I was the first direct entry into the military, direct from school. The rest used to come through the ranks. And this is because they had opened up for Africans then. Up to that time, up to my time, Africans were not supposed to become officers. But then ours was the first one to be open for Africans. Even then, they wanachuchuka. This is an untried character. How do we know they will fare well? Those who come from school, they will be big-headed. So the other ranks didn't want them, because it's going to be different from who they are. The officers, they were still around, and they got used to having Asians as officers, but not Africans. What will these Africans do when they join us? So I got in there at that time, the first direct entry. There was one before me called Mgunguzi, but he had gone through Kenya Regiment. So he had gone through Europeanized system and joined the military. And in fact, he joined us as cadets. But since the others didn't look askance at somebody who pretends to have come from somewhere else, life was made very difficult, and he bolted out. He bolted out his unit, and of course, he was highly regarded in his unit. Instead of being thrown out, they took him, in fact, ahead of us to Mons, to UK. So when we finished, those of us who had tried and survived, and I was the only one who survived direct from school. Even somebody from Makerere came to join. That even was worse. Somebody with a degree, Mwafrika. Askari wa Afrika wakafanya life yake kuwa so hard, he bolted out in 1 week. Of course, I had made a mistake of joining. I had to bear whatever. So my educational prowess was no help to me. Alafu kuna muhindi moja akaja. I don't know how he came in. He joined us halfway, and he couldn't even move correctly. I mean, he moved left. But I think he gave out something. Hatukujua corruption iko, lakini kulikuwa huko chini nafikiri kulikuwa na corruption. Somehow akaenda Santas mahali ningeenda. Because Santas is where I wanted to go to do my A-level. So instead I was shunted to a place for 6 months to become an officer. I came, they commissioned me, okay, Queen's Commission iko juu, nikakuja namwambia general, unajua mimi sikuingia hii jeshi, niwe officer, nilikuwa nataka kusoma. So hebu chukueni hii kitu, nirudishie mimi Santas huko, ili niwe, najua nitafanya mzuri kwa science, because I was very good in science. And I'm sure I will go to College of Shirvana. Akaniangalia na kucheka na kwenda. So I got stuck with the army without wanting to be in the army. And I never thought I would last that long in that army. So a year went, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. Ningali niko hapa kweli. 20 years, I'm still around. So, now, every time I was sent to personnel at one time, the first time after 10 years. So when I got there, of course everybody else is, ni wale wazee hawakwenda shule. I think Jeromulinge had gone to start class 2. Mohammed had never gone to any class. Officer hao wengine wameenda mpaka 8. So nikapata nafasi, nikasema bas, you know, everybody coming here is division 2 and above. And they're stuck. No movement other than professional, hiyo hakuna kwenda juu. Hata tukienda nje we are nobody. So nikajaribu kusema, at that time there were mature entry kwa universities. So nikatengeneza package ya a number of officers to be going to mature entry. Hoping maybe eventually, although by that time I had lost interest in learning and going for further education, but others I thought could benefit from it. So I got a package done, take it to the bosses, they threw it in the dustbin. I left that job, went to other jobs, and I didn't stay long. I was then promoted to Staff Officer 1, now personnel, where I was in charge. Before, ile police yangu ilitupwa na huyo boss yangu. So this time I managed to get that program through. And I was able to send 2 fellows to, first of all, I took a fellow who had gone to university in Addis Ababa, so that it doesn't really let down the side. So I know he's going to make it. He made it. He became the head of NYS, called Langat from Kericho. Then I got a second one who had no degree from Bungoma, and he managed. But then I went off, and hiyo policy ikatupwa, ikawachwa. So nikaenda FTC. After that, Armed Forces Training College, where I now worked on professional qualification ya officer, cadets, recruits, various other courses. Started all the schools that we have in the army, so that they become centers of excellence in the areas of expertise. Sawe became, then Ganyata died, Sawe became the army commander. So, and he was he was somebody who he was a Kapsabet product, but he left at Form 2 to join the army. He got fed up with education. He eventually became the army commander. So he was progressive in his ideas, and actually helped him and I together started all the schools that are there. I went to School of Infantry, Artillery, Engineers, and so on. And then I also rose up in FTC from being an instructor to being a chief instructor to being the commandant.